Hi guys, today's topic is about explaining the principles of computer networks. It's under Unit Standard 14913. So before we could continue with our topic of the day, I would just wanna go through our learner workbook. Before you need to fill in this section. Before on the facilitator name, you put my name, um, and these two spaces you need to leave for now. Will communicate further as to when for you to fill in those. And let's go through our overview of the learner workbook. So this learner exercise has one workbook has been designed and developed to evaluate the learner's level of understanding of the explain the principles of computer networks. It forms part of a series of a learner workbook that have been developed for further education and training certificate information technology system development. ID 78965 level 4, and it has 165 credits. The purpose of this learner exercise workbook is to evaluate learners' understanding on the specific outcomes and or assessment criteria of the following Saqa registered unit standard. So the unit standard number is 14913, and then the unit standard title it's the explain the principles of computer networks. It's level 3 and it has 5 credits. So the contents, this assessment represent the formative assessment component of the further education and training certificate, which is the information technology system development, and should be completed in a classroom or training room. So the resources that were given, the learner has a learner guide and need to assessment preparation. Instruction to us as facilitators, we need to explain the completion of the workbook to each learner and need to interview the learner or similar questions should he or she not be able to write. Instructions to learners will be required to complete the workbook as per the instructions. Ensure that all questions are completed and need to ensure that the completion of the workbook is their own work, and then ensure that all the annexes are attached to the workbook and clearly referred to. Assessment time, the learners are required to complete this assessment within an allocated time frame. Before we could write the assessment, I will provide a time frame for that, and then the total mark. This affirmative assessment carries a total mark of 52 points. In order to meet the pass mark, learners are required to achieve a minimum of 80% of the total mark. So you need to get 42 out of it's a minimum. In the minimum pass, you need to get 42 out of 52. So the equipment, learners are required to have the following equipment in order to complete this book: pen and pencil, ruler, and exam pad for additional paper. So yes, let's go through. You need to fill in these as well. Your learner full names, ID, organization, contact details, telephone, email address, and workshop details. The venue for now, don't put anything. Facilitator name, my name, date started, as well as these. Don't put it for now. So the assessment preparation checklist. This assessment is a formative assessment and is based on the outline unit standard for the explain the principles of the computer network module. Your assessment evidence for explain the principle of computer networks module needs to be submitted on the day I will mention, the month of July 2020, at the following address. You will be assessed based on the outline unit standards. The assessment activities are linked to specific outcomes assessment criteria of the outline unit standard. To determine your competence level, the following are the methods to be used for this assessment. Competent and not yet competent. To be declared competent on explain the principle of computer network module formative assessment, you should have obtained at least 80% of the total amount of this assessment. You will be provided with detailed feedback on your performance of this assessment as follows. Number 1, written feedback. Number 2, verbal feedback. Should you declare not yet competent on this assessment, you'll be entitled for a reassessment opportunities. You'll be required to resubmit evidence only for areas where you declared not yet competent. A date for the resubmission will be agreed with the assessor. You will be entitled to lodge an appeal should you not be satisfied with the assessment decision of your assessment. You'll be required to provide assessor feedback on assessment procedure. This is to assist in improving the assessment practices. Your results of assessment and portfolio of evidence information will not be provided to any person without your written consent. The learner's declaration. I, Cabello, here will declare that, but this is you as a learner. You need to declare that you are ready for the assessment, that we have reviewed the assessment preparation and plan. I understand the assessment processes and I'm happy that the assessment will be conducted in a fair manner. You will need to sign, date, and I'll have to sign as well and provide a date as well. So learning unit 1, explain the principles of computer networks. Let's quickly go through our activities for session 1. Describe data communication. For activity 1, you need to describe the functions of a protocol. It has 10 marks. And then activity 2, you need to distinguish between LANs and WANs, which is for 3 marks. And for session 2, we've got the activity 3, you need to demonstrate. For session 2, you need to demonstrate knowledge of main features of a LAN. And our activity 3, on session 2, you need to demonstrate knowledge of main features of a LAN for 5 marks. And for activity 4, you need to identify the main types of a LAN medium for 5 marks. And activity 5, you need to demonstrate understanding of a LAN bandwidth is for 5 marks. And session 3, we've got activity 4, you need to list the disadvantages of a WAN is for 5 marks. And activity 7, you need to explain the uses of hardware requirement of WAN, which is for 10 marks. Activity 8, you need to demonstrate understanding of the following terms: internet, e-commerce, email is for 5 marks. And that is our last activity. So now we can go through our learner guide for session 1. So our session 1, it's to describe the data communication. Our learning outcomes, you need to explain the roles at the end of this session. You need to explain the roles of the key elements in data communication. You need to differentiate between a LAN and a WAN. So our first outcome, you need to explain the key roles the roles of key elements in data communication. So data communication refers to the exchange of data between a source and a receiver. Data communication is said to be local if communicating devices are in the same building or a similar restricted geographical area. The meanings of source and receiver are very simple. The device that transmits the data is known as source, and the device that receives the transmitted data is known as a receiver. Data communication aims at the transfer of the data and maintenance of the data during the process, but not the actual generation of the information at the source and the receiver. Data mean the facts, information, statistics, or the like derived by calculation or experimentation. The facts and information so gathered are processed in accordance with defined systems of procedure. Data can exist in a variety of forms such as numbers, text, bits, and bytes. The figure is an illustration of a simple data communication system. We've got an input data, which is a transmitter, and the transmitted signal, it moves through to the transmission medium, and then the received signal, the receiver, and we've got an output data. A data communication system may collect data from remote locations through data transmission circuits. and then outputs processed results to remote locations. The figure provides a broader view of a data communication networks. The different data communication techniques which are presently in widespread use evolve gradually, either to improve the data communication techniques already existing or to replace the same with better options and features. Then there are data communication jargons to contend with, such as baud rate, modems, routers, LAN, WAN, TCP/IP, and ISDN during the selection of communication systems. Hence, it becomes necessary to review and understand these terms and gradual develop of data communication methods. This is just an illustration of a data communication system using remote locations. Components of data communication systems. A communication system has the following components. We've got the message, sender, receiver, medium, protocol. We've got five components. We've got a message, sender, receiver, medium, and protocol. So now the message, it is the information or data to be communicated. It can consist of text, numbers, pictures, sound, video, or any combination of these. Sender, it is the device or computer that generates and sends that message. Receiver, it is the device or computer that receives the message. The location of the receiver computer is generally different from the sender computer. The distance between the sender and the receiver depends upon the types of network used in between. The medium, it is the channel or physical path through which the message is carried from sender to receiver. The medium can be wide, like twisted pair wire, coaxial cable, fiber optic cable, or wireless, like laser, radio waves, and microwaves. Protocol, it is a set of rules that govern the communication between the devices. Both sender and receiver follow the same protocols to communicate with each other. A protocol performs the following functions. Data sequencing, it refers to breaking a long message into smaller packets to a fixed size. Data sequencing rules define the method of numbering packets to detect loss or duplication of packets and to correctly identify packets which belong to the same message. Data routing. Data routing defines the most efficient path between the source and the destination. Data formatting. Data formatting rules define which group of bits or characters within the packet constitute data, control, addressing, or other information. The flow control, it's a communication protocol, also prevents a fast sender from overwhelming a slow receiver. It ensures resources sharing and protection against traffic congestion by regulating the flow of data on communication lines. Error control, these rules are designed to detect errors in messages and to ensure transmission of correct messages. The most common method is to retransmit erroneous message block. In such a case, a block having error is discarded by the receiver and is retransmitted by the sender. The precedence and the order of transmission. These rules ensure that all the nodes get a chance to use the communication lines and other resources of the network based on the priorities assigned to them. Connection, establishment, and termination. These rules define how connections are established, maintained, and terminated when two nodes of a network want to communicate with each other. So we've got an illustration of having a sender and a receiver. This is a medium, which is the message. They've got protocol that which governs the communication lines. So we've got the data security, which providing data security and privacy is also built into most communication software packages. It prevents access to data by unauthorized access. Log information. Several communication software are designed to develop log information, which consists of all jobs and data communication tasks that have taken place. Such information may be used for charging the users of the network based on their usage of the network resources. So our second outcome, differentiate between a LAN and a WAN. So there are many different types of networks. However, from an end user point of view, there are two basic types, which is a LAN and a WAN. So a LAN, a local area network, the computers are geographically close together, that is in the same building. And in the wide area network, the computers are further apart and are connected by telephone lines or radio waves. So this is an example of a LAN separated by distance are connected by a network known as a wide area network. I've got an illustration of this that I've done on my own. I will show it to you as we finish with our session one. So let me quickly go through a scenario. I've got a scenario of my own that I've done just to give you an an example of a LAN and a WAN. So now we've got LAN 1, we've got LAN 1 and LAN 2. So let's assume that this is a store, it's an Edgar's store. We've got two Edgars. I own these two stores. The one is in Johannesburg CBD and the one is in Sandton. So now we are approaching lockdown. So now we know that during lockdown we won't have customers coming through our stores. So normally we had customers that would come and buy goods from our stores, and when, for instance, maybe a customer would buy a pair of shoe, that pair of shoe would be scanned, and that data would go through our switch, and our switch would send that packet to our server to determine the prices and stuff, and the server would which is the receiver, would provide information based on that packet being sent to say, okay, that pair of shoe would cost 200 rands. So these are it would send back the packets to the switch, and the switch would automatically forward that packet to the machine that requested those prices. So now we are facing a difficult period now. We are in lockdown. We've got only a week before the nation we are quarantined. So now we have issues now because of now we've got a LAN. So we won't be having customers that will be at home that would want to shop from at home, online shopping. So now we want to provide that option to our customers at home to have online shopping for my both stores, which is the one in Johannesburg and the one in Sandton, because of sometimes you'd find in Johannesburg there are products that in Sandton they don't have. So now I need to interlink these stores so that I may broadcast my products to the internet. So now I have contacted my ISP provider, which is Telkom. So now Telkom said, okay guys, you will need to buy a router, two routers, so now for us to connect you to the internet. So now we've got the router. This is the internet, and this is the router that Telkom said we should buy. So we have bought our router. We have bought our router from Telkom. So now they installing those routers. I will explain briefly. Let me just go step by step as to what happens behind the scenes. So now Telkom is installing the router for us in our stores. We've got only a week before we approach the lockdown. So now we are connected to the internet. So now we are connected to the internet now. So now this is a form of a WAN now. We have two LANs connected to each other, which makes a WAN. So now we have moved from a LAN which was geographically situated within a building in Sandton 1 and in Johannesburg 2. So now we want to connect to a WAN. So we've got two WANs now. We've got two LANs. Sorry, we've got two LANs interconnected to make a WAN. So now we are approaching lockdown. So we wanna still sell our products to customers who will be at home during lockdown. So now an internet is a connection of routers over a network. So when they mention of an internet, it's something like this. So it's something like this. This is an internet. This is an internet. Just basically an interconnection of routers within a network. Just an interconnection of routers within a network. So now what I'm doing now is that I'm just connecting an internet just to give you an overview of what is an internet all about. These guys are just mediums that I'm using. It's a medium which is your fiber optic. As you can see, this is a copper straight through. So I'm using the copper crossover cable. So I'm using those kind of cables. So now we've got this network. So let me this as user one. Let's make it user one. So user one is directly connected to the internet. So now we are in lockdown now. Telkom managed to connect us to the WAN. So now we are accessible to the internet now. So now user one wants to buy shoes to our store. So he will quickly go to our website, to our domain, which is edgars.co.za. Then he will want to buy a pair of shoes which costs about 1,000 rand, Nike shoes. So now he would send a message from home using a laptop. So you send a message to say I want he's in the Edgar's website. So you would send a message to say I want these kind of shoes, which is the Nike shoes, which is a black it's a black shoes Nike which costs 1,000 rand. So now that message will be sent across the network. It will this router will take that message and it will broadcast a message to all the routers to say, hey guys, can you quickly get me to Edgar's where I could find these type of shoes. and that broadcast will be sent along a line these messages. So the message will hop from one place to another, which is in these routers, up until it reaches the Edgar's router. So when it reaches here, this router will also do a broadcast, because now we've got a shoe which is a black, which is black, and it costs 1,000 rand. So we're not quite sure whether at Johannesburg we've got those kind of shoes, or in Sandton. So it will also send a broadcast to all to these routers as well. So once it sends that broadcast to this router will take that broadcast and send it to the switch. So the switch will take that message and send it to the server to check whether that server, this store does have that type of shoe in the store. So once it checks, and then it finds out that no, that kind of shoe I don't have, I only have a brown sugar, I only have a type of brown type of shoes, and then the server will send back that message to the switch, and the switch will send the message to the router, and the router will broadcast it to the main to our main router. So now the same process will go to this site as well. So once it reaches here, it will send to the switch, and then the switch will quickly check to the server. Once it reaches the server will automatically pick up that shoe to say, yes, the type of shoe, I do have it. And then it will send back that message, which is the receiver. It will send back that packet, that message to the switch, and the switch will send it to the router, and the router will broadcast up until it reaches to the sender. So the sender will automatically say, okay, I want to buy it. So that process, this is called the when. So when you see these kind of things, this it's simply a interconnected, and internet is it's routers connected to each other, which forms internet, and networks of networks. So that is an internet and networks of networks. So this is our LAN 1, this is our LAN 2. So let's say maybe now I I feel that this is quite vulnerable. It's after lockdown. There is too much unauthorized users that will access my servers, and there's quite more information, that there's quite serious information that I don't wanna uh, get my unauthorized users to access. So now I want to uh, go back to my normal life again, to having a local area network, which users will come to my store and buy and buy and buy uh, and buy shoes from the store. So this is typically a LAN. So this is a LAN. It's LAN 1, LAN 2. This is a LAN. So LAN information is being transferred from a single building. So but now if you want to connect it to the internet, you will have to have routers, as I've shown before. So this is typically a network. It's a networks of network connected into networks of networks connected into the world of internet. So yeah guys, this is an example of the of of a LAN and a WAN. I've explained that. So now you can quickly go through you can do your activities for session 1 and 2 before we could continue with uh, session 2. So I thank you. I'll see you in our next video.